So tell me.
Well, the month of April is over, and May has begun. And with that, we've finished Resident Evil 4 Remake, we finished Echo Knight Beyond, and I enjoyed both of those games quite a bit. I hope you like them as well. Though, as I said at the end of RE4 Remake, I'm sure we'll see some more of that later on, as hopefully there will be some DLC. But Echo Knight, that would be the end of that trilogy, unless I do some VR with Deracine. We'll see how that goes. See if we want more. I mean, it's not ghost pleasuring action from FromSoft, but like wish granting action, I guess you could say, is Deracine. But that's not what we're talking about right now. We're talking about the month of May and what's happening in May. Well, I mean, as far as VR goes, I am continuing to do Dyschronia. Been a couple of weeks since the last one, I think. But that's just because I haven't had that much time to record a new one. But I will be getting back on that as we continue on with episode 2 of Dyschronia. But with RE4 and Echo Knight Beyond done, that does mean that we need to move on to a new playthrough. And so what will that be? Well, of course, I'm continuing on with the tryouts, because sometimes try out a game and I feel like I probably just need to go ahead and play through the whole thing. Sometimes more than one game. And so this recently was just sort of a coincidence, just happened to play 3 games in the same franchise that I feel that I should probably play. And so that's why the new playthrough on the stream, playthroughs, will be Alone in the Dark. Doing Alone in the Dark Original, Alone in the Dark The New Nightmare, and Alone in the Dark 2008. It's a franchise that I really never played before, so it seems like I should probably educate myself on the ways of Edward Carnby and him not knowing where he is because there's no light. So that's what we'll be doing starting tonight on the stream with Alone in the Dark 1.
Maybe you better go.
See how that... It's an interesting experience when I did the tryout. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, that's what we're continuing.
So much for helping me.
And then apparently that's not a very long game. But I mean, there are 2 different characters, so I don't know if we should be playing it twice. I don't know if there's that much of a difference. Well, I mean, I'll have to look that up to see if there is a reason to do that. But I'm sure it won't take that long to complete it. And then we'll go on to The New Nightmare, which also has 2 different characters to play as. And then move on to 2008, which, as far as I know, only has the 1 character. So that's what we're doing in the month of May. Don't know how long it'll take to go through all 3. And of course, I do know that there are other Alone in the Dark games. There's Alone in the Darks 2 and 3, and whether or not we look at those, that's going to depend on how these first playthroughs go, and we'll decide after that if we want to do 2 and 3. And then, of course, there's always the Alone in the Dark reboot that's upcoming. So who knows? We might have even more Alone in the Dark this year. Is it supposed to come out this year? For some reason, I'm feeling like it hasn't been given a release date, but it was thought that it might come out this year. I don't remember now, but in any case, gotta bone up on our Alone in the Dark before the reboot comes out, I guess. The reboot's supposed to be more in the style of the original, and I think it even probably takes place in Derceto as well, if I remember right. But I don't know if they've actually shown anything about that reboot aside from the box art. So, who knows? Maybe that one will turn out to be good. Maybe that's the one that'll really stick. These other reboots, they haven't stuck. You had Alone in the Dark, The New Nightmare, but that didn't have a direct sequel. And 2008 didn't have a direct sequel. I mean, who knows? Maybe this new one will be the one that really jumpstarts that franchise. Maybe. But Yeah, my tryouts of the Alone in the Dark games were fun and interesting enough that I think that we should probably go ahead and continue with those 3 games. So, I usually say that October is the month of horror, but I'm doing a lot of horror earlier in the year. Did Dead Space remake, did RE4 remake, did some Echo Night Beyond, did some Saw. We did that. Look, I know that people say Alone in the Dark 2008 is not a good game, but, one thing that I can be comforted in is that it's probably not as bad as Saw. I mean, from what I played of it, it probably is not as... I mean, I guess I can't say that for sure. I guess we'll find out together how well Alone in the Dark 2008 compares to...
What's your situation?
The horrific tour de force known as Saw, the video game. So that's what we're doing. Starting tonight on the stream, continuing with tryouts, and then continuing with the first Alone in the Dark from where we... I mean, I say where we left off in the tryout. I'm going to have to remind myself, what was I doing exactly? I remember I got eaten by, like, the front door. Like, that's how that ended. And I'm just gonna have to remind myself as to where I should be picking up from as we return to Der Seto in Alone in the Dark 1 on DOS. And like I said, more tryouts to come, more Dyschronia to come. The stream has its normal schedule, of course, 7 p.m. Eastern Time on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at twitch.tv/supergreatfriend. Of course, as you know, you leave off the last D because the D is for Dracula,
Need a location on a nearby.
and you don't want to get his attention.
Taken there.
Copy that. I'll see what I can find.
Hurry up. Something's happened to the people here. My escorts are... Gotta go. Talk later. I'll let myself out.